What are the pros and cons of living in Hamilton, Ontario, otherwise known as Steel City, the Hammer, or the home of the Hamilton Tiger Cats? Well, in today's video, I'm going to be covering a bunch of pros as well as cons from residents that live here currently, as well as just my experience helping other clients like yourself move here so you can make the best decision possible. If you're new here, my name's Matthew. I'm a local realtor, and this is my channel where I share everything about what it's like living in Burlington and the surrounding areas like Hamilton. So if you're interested in learning more, definitely subscribe to not miss out on any one of my future videos. And if you want more one-on-one help, feel free to send me a message. But other than that, let's just jump on into it. So Hamilton is actually Ontario's 5th largest city with a population of just under 600,000 people. Now, it didn't always used to be this big, as back in 2001, a bunch of surrounding smaller towns joined up with Hamilton, creating this larger city. Now today, you might know them as Ancaster, Stony Creek, Binbrook, Glanbrook, Waterdown, Dundas, and because of their own history being their own town, they all have a different look and feel. So in today's video, we're mainly going to be focusing on Central Hamilton. This is really where the iconic Hammertown comes from, is in this area here. Now within Central Hamilton, there's really two major parts. You first have the downtown core, which is where you'll find all the businesses, Jackson Square down there as well, Hess Village is in there, as well as the industrial steel sector in that area. However, Hamilton is actually split up by the Niagara Escarpment, and you'll often hear residents here referring to it as the mountain, which is basically on top of the escarpment, as this has a completely different look and feel, and we'll kind of be talking about both of these sectors, the pros, the cons, so you know which one's right for you. And if you're interested in learning about those other ones like Ancaster, Dundas, Stony Creek, and more, make sure you keep on watching till the end of this video, as I'll share where you can find my videos going over those pros and cons. So let's just jump on into it and first talk about the pros and why so many people love calling Hamilton home. And the first reason is its geographic location, as where it's located is in the middle of the Golden Horseshoe area, making it super easy and convenient to drive and catch the highway or the GO train to Union Station. It's about an hour drive from downtown Hamilton. And then on the other side, you can also take a 40-minute drive down the QEW to Niagara Falls and the United States border. So no matter where, if you're commuting to work or just want to go enjoy Niagara Falls or Toronto, it's with the easy access. Plus, you also get easy access to the 403 heading up to London and Kitchener-Waterloo. And then because of this geographic region, Hamilton is home to a lot of different waterfalls and nature parks. In fact, Hamilton is actually considered the waterfall capital of the world, with more than 156 waterfalls within its borders. So some of the most notable waterfalls within the central location of Hamilton is first Albany Falls, where you can view it from the lookout, or you can hike down alongside it and enjoy the rushing waters over this cascade down from the Hamilton Escarpment. Then the next one is Chedoke Falls. Now this one's going to be a bit of a hike to get to, but it's well worth it, as you're going to see a massive waterfall flowing out into a pond, which if you wanted to take a quick dip, you definitely could in the summertime. And then the third falls I'll mention, while there's many more, is Scenic Waterfalls, just another classic beautiful waterfall at your doorstep when you live in Hamilton. But other than just the beautiful waterfalls, you'll also find some amazing hikes within just a short drive away. Now most of them aren't in central Hamilton, as this is a really developed area. However, just like 10 minutes away from central Hamilton, you have Dundas Peak and Tews Falls located in the Dundas neighborhood for you to enjoy. So no matter where you are, you can be rest assured you're only minutes away from any nature walks and waterfalls. But other than just the nature walks and waterfalls, you're also just minutes away from a wide variety of different parks, and these tend to be more common within central Hamilton. As one, you have Bayfront Park, where you can check out Hamilton's waterfront while enjoying some great ice cream from Hutch's. Or two, you can go visit Gage Park, which is a great outdoor park with a lot of curated gardens, a beautiful fountain, some outdoor amphitheater, and routine festivals happening in this park here. And then another park you can go check out is Confederation Park. Now this is just on the edge of central Hamilton and Stony Creek, and it offers you a great beach where you can go sit out and relax, or you can go explore either Adventure Village, where they have mini putt, go-karts, batting cages, or you can go to Wild Waterworks and check out Hamilton's outdoor water park. And then finally, the last park I'll mention is Royal Botanical Gardens, as this is in between Burlington and Hamilton, and it has 5 different unique gardens, all curated with beautiful different flowers for each time of the seasons. So now that you know the parks, another amazing pro about Hamilton is its food scene and breweries located within its borders, as this is probably the best food scene, I would say, other than Toronto, within Ontario. And this is just because there are so many different diverse people living here, bringing their own authentic cuisines for you to try at an affordable price. Now, some of my personal favorite spots to go out and eat would be one, Radius, Caribbean Canada in concessions just on the mountain. You have Hamburg, Speedy Subs, Chocolate on James, where you can go get a beautiful cheesecake on a stick dipped in chocolate with your favorite toppings, or you can also go to the Greek Palace and many more local spots. But like I mentioned, it's not just the food scene's great, but we also have an amazing home craft brewery scene, as not only within Hamilton's borders can you go view Collective Brewing Arts, which has some of the best exterior artwork and amazing beers for you to enjoy, but you can also go to Merit Brewery in downtown Hamilton, where you can enjoy an amazing pint and a great sausage to go with it. And then just out to the west, you also have Grain and Grit and Fairweather Brewery. And then get this, not only do you have just great food you can take out or eat in, but you can also visit Hamilton's indoor farmers market that happens year-round, which has domestic as well as international stalls where you can go pick up a wide variety of different things like fish, meat, poultry, eggs, deli, baked goods, flowers, specialty foods, as well as just handmade products. In total, there's over 50 different vendors, and this has been going on since 1837, and it's just located in the heart of Jackson Square and the Hamilton Public Library. And then once you're full from eating, you can go view one of Hamilton's many local sports teams, which is the next pro, as Hamilton is home to a wide variety of different professional sports teams. The first and most notable, in my opinion, would be the Hamilton Tiger Cats, which is a part of the CFL, and they have a long history with an amazing culture you can feel when attending games, as you have characters like Pigskin Pete that have been around for years, getting the crowd riled up for that big game. But also, Hamilton is also home to the Canadian Football League Hall of Fame, so you can go check that out, just showing you how deep the culture runs in Hamilton. Then also, you have the Hamilton Bulldogs, which is the professional hockey team in the AHL that is Hamilton's own. And then actually, just recently, the Toronto Rock moved its home games to Hamilton, so you can go check out a great lacrosse game also in downtown Hamilton. And then two of the more newer sports teams that are looking to become more established, build that culture within Hamilton's communities, is one, Forge FC, and I actually went to one of their first games in the first season, and not only were the tickets a great price, but it was an amazing atmosphere to go and check out one of Canada's Premier League teams. But also, you have the Hamilton Honey Badgers, which are a part of the Canadian Elite Basketball League. And then I can't forget to mention, as a former alumni, you also have all the McMaster sports teams to root for, and the football team routinely does amazing. So other than all the amazing sporting events, another reason why so many people love living in Hamilton is all the events and festivals that happen year-round. Because of all these sports venues, it offers a great opportunity for many acts to come, whether that's live music, comedy shows, theaters, or just dance or orchestras. You have so much going on in the downtown core that there's always something to do. Now, some amazing local festivals that happen are first Super Crawl, which is an annual art and indie music festival held at the end of September in the downtown core, where you can go out, listen to music, and go grab some food from the local food trucks. But also, you have the Craft Beer Festival, where you can go support and try out a wide variety of different vendors. But you also have multiple barbecue and rib fests, as Stony Creek has one, Dundas has one, Ancaster has one, Hamilton has one, Glanbrook has one. There's so many different opportunities for you to go enjoy ribs, because they come to each and every single one of the neighborhoods within Hamilton. And then also you have Hess Village in downtown Hamilton that has something going on every single week. And then other than all the amazing things to do in Hamilton, another great pro about living in Hamilton is the amazing healthcare it offers its residents, as Hamilton has some of the best healthcare around in Ontario, with some notable hospitals being first McMaster's 6 Kids Hospital, which is actually the pediatric center, ranks 46 best in the world, making it the second best hospital for pediatrics in Ontario. But you also have Hamilton General Hospital, St. Joseph Hospital, as well as the Cancer Center up on the mountain. And routinely, there's a survey that goes on every 3 years where they send anonymous people in to go interact and see what's been happening in the inner workings of the hospitals. And every time, Hamilton comes out with awards. And as you can see, just on this one webpage alone, all the many other awards and top rankings Hamilton's hospitals rate for. And that's not to even mention Hamilton's Health Sciences is actually the 4th best research hospitals in Canada. So you have the cutting edge, innovative medical research also going on in the city here. And this is one of the bigger employers. So if you're looking for a job in the medical field, this is definitely a great city to consider. And of course, if you or one of your kids want to join the medical field, they're going to need some great education. And that's definitely what Hamilton has to provide, as not only will you find a wide variety of different elementary, public, and Catholic schools in Hamilton's borders, but as well as some great high schools. Now, I'd recommend you go check out the Fraser Institute, which takes all the schools in Hamilton and rates them based on how they perform on the Ontario Standardized Testing. So you can go check that out. Now, keep in mind, the Ontario Standardized Testing is just one way to evaluate schools' performance. I'd highly recommend you go reach out to parents or teachers of the schools to learn more and see what they can help you guys out with. But other than just the public, elementary, and high schools, you also have some great post-secondary options. The most notable one, of course, is McMaster University, which is one of the 4 universities in Canada that routinely ranks as one of the top 100 universities around the world, and it's known for its great healthcare and science and engineering degrees it offers, but it also has a wide variety of different programs. Not only is the education great, but just from my past experience being an alumni from McMaster, its culture, its atmosphere is very inclusive, and I had an amazing time. But other than Mac, you also have Mohawk College, which is one of the top 20 colleges in Canada for applied research with a focus in electronics, as well as mobile health solutions and manufacturing and energy distributions. So you have a wide variety of different options to choose from them. And then if you're looking for a Christian university, you also have Redeemer University, which is a fully Christian university up in Ancaster. Other than the great schools, another pro about living in Hamilton is the public transit it offers its residents. And other than Toronto, this definitely happens to be one of the best cities for that, especially when you compare it to the neighboring cities, whether that's out Grimsby area, Burlington, or even out to Kitchener-Waterloo. Hamilton definitely, in my opinion, has the best public transit, as not only does it have an extensive bus route that covers the entire map of Hamilton, especially around the central and mountain parts, as well as you have those GO buses and GO train stations throughout the city, giving you easy access to commute from one city to another. And then when you hit your destination, they have some great last mile modes of transportation. My particular favorite is the Sobe bikes, which you can find throughout the city as well. And this is where you can rent a bike and only pay per kilometer. And it's a quite effective and affordable way to get around if you don't want to feel like taking all the time to walk. So a lot of great public transportation options here in Hamilton. And then other than public transportation, another great area of transportation Hamilton strives in is the international airport it offers its residents. As while it is not as big as Toronto Pearson's airport, it definitely is less confusing, less busy, and if you can find a flight out of here, I actually prefer flying out of the Hamilton airport, as it just seems like a smoother, less chaotic atmosphere. And it does routinely go to a wide variety of international destinations. And then another pro its residents enjoy about living there is the great amenities and shopping options it has, as not only do you have Lime Ridge Mall on the mountain, but you also have Jackson Square right in downtown's core, and then you have Eastgate Square just a short drive away in Stony Creek. But other than those massive big outlet shopping malls, you have a wide variety of small boutique local businesses that you can find a lot of handmade goods, crafts goods, and one-of-a-kind unique things you'll only find find in Hamilton. And another thing you'll only find in Hamilton is its rich history, as it's unique and original to Hamilton. And because it has had such a long history, there are some iconic sites you'll need to check out when living here. One is Dundurn Castle, which is this historic neoclassical mansion built in the 1835 and has been home to some of the most affluent people living in Hamilton. But also you have the Cathedral of Christ the King, which is this old classic cathedral you see every time you enter Hamilton from the 403. But also you might have seen a few Tim Hortons around in the cities, but Hamilton actually has the first and original Tim Hortons, as this is where it started. So you can go check out where Tim Hortons started from day one. And then also you have the Canadian Warplane Museum, as well as the Canadian Warplane Show, which happens every year on the mountain. And then the next part I wanted to quickly mention is, if you enjoy the art scene, going to see local artists or just pieces that will be amazed by you, then you need to check out Hamilton's Art Gallery, as it was founded in 1914 and is the third largest public art gallery in Ontario, with over 9,000 works in its permanent collection, and focuses on three main areas: the 19th century European, historic Canadian, as well as contemporary Canadian. So definitely something for you to go at least spend an afternoon and go see some beautiful pieces of artwork. And then the last pro we're going to talk about before jumping into the cons and why you may regret living in Hamilton is the real estate, and more particularly the real estate prices. As you see, the real estate prices, if you just compare Hamilton as a whole, is cheaper than Burlington, than Oakville, than Milton, than Grimsby. And best part is, Central Hamilton and Hamilton on the Mountain tends to be some of the more affordable areas within Hamilton. So it definitely offers some great opportunity for you to get in and buy a home. As in the downtown core, you can find those iconic red brick homes that were built around the 1900s, or within walking distance, you can also find some old and new condo buildings being put up. And then just up on the mountain, you can find some wartime homes, as well as some brand new neighborhoods with a great mixture of attached and detached options. And because of this wide variety of different options and the affordability, Hamilton has definitely been rapidly growing, and as a result, so have the real estate prices. So if you're interested in learning what the real estate prices are as you're watching this right now, you can actually go ahead, check them out on my website. And if you want to get set up for a custom search alert for any properties that match your criteria in Hamilton or one of the surrounding areas like Burlington or Grimsby, feel free to send me a message. I'd be happy to set that up for you. But now that we've covered all the pros about living in Hamilton, let's talk about the cons. And the very first con about living in Hamilton would have to be related to the real estate, in particular the student housings. As after living in student housing myself during my university time, while it was great fun while I was living there, it's not necessarily always the most desirable neighborhood for you to have those as your neighbors, as at times they can be a bit rowdy during certain events throughout the year, as well as they do lack a bit of pride and ownership around the property. Now, typically where you're going to be finding a lot of these student housings is around Mohawk College as well as McMaster University. Now, with that said, there's a lot of residents that do live within these communities that find the pros outweigh the disadvantage of being neighbors to a student. And in fact, if you just actually move off a lot of the busier roads in the neighborhoods, you can find some massive affluent areas, especially in the neighborhoods like Westdale. Then the second con associated with living in Hamilton is the property taxes, as unfortunately Hamilton definitely has higher property taxes when you compare it to its neighboring city of Burlington. However, it really is still in the middle of the pack, as it doesn't have that double land transfer tax that Toronto has, and it is also less than Niagara Falls and London. And then also another concern or frustration I've heard from Hamilton residents about the taxes is because Hamilton is such a large city with so many different rural outlets, from Stony Creek to Flamborough up to Glanbrook. What you'll really find is that some residents get frustrated with how the taxpayer dollars are being spent, as they feel it's being stretched a little thin. And then another con about living in Hamilton, while it does have a rich history, it's also seen as a bit of a negative, as it is a massive history in the industrial and manufacturing sectors. And for the most part, when people think of Hamilton, this is what they think of. They think of the hammer, they think of Steel Town, Steel City, and this really you can find only in the north part of central Hamilton, and that's where you'll find the two major employers being Stelco and Afasco, producing over 60% of all the steel in Canada. However, 90% of the time you're living in Hamilton, you're not going to even notice these areas here unless you're living close to one of the industrial areas. The manufacturing and industrial areas really bring me on to my next negative about living in Hamilton, which unfortunately is the pollution. Because Hamilton has had that rich history in manufacturing, it has taxed its environment. However, over the last 20, 30, and even 40 years, since really the 80s really, Hamilton has strived to improve the pollution both in the air quality as well as in the water every single year. And thankfully, because of all the big green spaces, lots of trees, it definitely helps with the air quality in Hamilton. But as you can see here, how Hamilton stacks up versus the neighboring cities, it is definitely on the lower side, or the higher side for pollution, the lower side for clean air, as it's about equivalent, as you can see here, to Toronto's downtown core. So definitely still some work Hamilton needs to do, but it's definitely encouraging to see how far Hamilton has come. And then the next major negative about living in Hamilton is the massive amount of construction. And like I mentioned, the real estate prices are skyrocketing in Hamilton. And one of the reasons for this is the massive demand of people wanting to move here further from the Greater Toronto area out. And as a result, there's a lack of supply. Now, Hamilton's government and developers have recognized this, and that's why you're going to see a lot of development happening, especially in the downtown core, with new condominiums being popped up right now and being planned to pop up in the coming years. But also, Hamilton definitely has a lot of areas where newer neighborhoods are being put in every single year. So while the construction is great, it definitely does cause some congestion on the roadways, which is the next negative I want to chat about, as overall, Hamilton is notorious for its one-way roads, as really the two main area roads in Hamilton, one runs east, one runs west, Main Street, King Street, and they're both one-way roads. Now, it can definitely be extremely confusing if you're not used to driving on one-way roads, but thankfully, with the help of Google Maps and a little bit of experience, you can get definitely the handle of it. However, if one-way roads weren't tricky enough, Hamilton also has some roads that sometimes are one-way roads, sometimes are two-way roads. And in particular, one of the more notorious ones is the Sherman Axis going up to Hamilton, which, while it definitely helps the traffic flow during those busier times when it does turn into a one-way road, you definitely can get caught off in having to reroute your route if you're not cognizant of that. And then definitely another negative about the roadways in Hamilton is the road conditions, especially in central Hamilton and especially around the industrial areas, as because so many cars drive over it, especially those heavy industrial vehicles carrying massive amounts of steel, it causes a lot of wear and tear on Hamilton's roads. And like I was mentioning, some Hamilton residents don't like how spread thin the taxpayer dollars are, and as a result, in the late spring, you really see, as the slush is starting to just evaporate, some rough road conditions. And I know myself, I've definitely gotten one or two flat tires from just driving in Hamilton and hitting a pothole. However, like the pollution, I do think that the road conditions are improving, as especially like Main Street right around McMaster used to be a horrible area, and then 2 years ago, while there was a lot of construction around there, they spent the time and repaved the whole road, and it definitely has made a noticeable difference. And then the final negative about the roadways is the traffic, as you can definitely get caught up in traffic from a variety of times. However, what I do find about Hamilton is it's really one of the better cities to get around its city, as not only do you have a wide variety of different alternative routes, but as well as you can find the Lincoln Alexander Parkway taking you east to west, as well as the Red Hill Valley taking you north to south in Hamilton, making those quick commutes where it is congested with traffic a little bit easier. And then the next con about living in Hamilton is the gentrification that that is happening as more and more people want to move here. As a result, the housing prices are increasing, but also just the cost of living is going up as well. And as a result, the people that once used to call Hamilton home are finding it harder and harder to afford to live here and being pushed further and further out, as Hamilton now is at 60% above the provincial average for the cost of living. Now, as you can see here, while the food, transportation, and healthcare are still great around the average cost for Ontario, the housing market is still ranks very low in affordability. And as a result, that's why you're going to find some harder hit areas which are a bit more boarded up and rougher. However, with that said, the gentrification also includes new people coming in and making Hamilton home and establishing new local businesses and revamping and remodeling some brand new homes. So there's definitely a give and take with this negative here. And then the final negative about Hamilton is the at-risk and homeless people. So like any other big city, Hamilton definitely has some people that are troubled, especially around the downtown core. As like I mentioned, people are being pushed out of their homes because they can no longer afford it. And that's one of the reasons why you'll see a bit more homeless people around the downtown core. So those were the pros and cons of living in Hamilton, Ontario, in particular the central part and the mountain. If you're interested in moving here and want help one-on-one, feel free to shoot me a message. I'd be happy to help you out. And if you're looking for more videos to watch to better understand which parts of Hamilton are right for you, the next video I recommend you go check out is my videos going over the pros and cons of Stony Creek, Dundas, Ancaster, and the rest of the neighborhoods. So you can find that playlist right here. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.